a bunch of crazy stories written by the Brothers Grimm. And now you're gonna learn all about them, listening to the Brothers Grimm.
Students and scholars, friends and relations, welcome to the Brothers Dim podcast, where we examine the funny little collection of fairy tales collected and written down by the Brothers Grimm in the early 19th century in Germany, including this week's story, number 57, The Golden Bird. My name is Phil.
Yeah, my name is Mike.
Mike, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm excited for the fall to begin in earnest. Fantasy football has started back up.
That is true.
I'm very happy with my team name this year, which is Monday Week. The reason was because my child has been saying that a bunch. And so then I started singing songs about the other days of the week, and he gets a kick out of it, it seems. And fantasy football is going well for me so far. I'm currently 2-0, and I believe the only other team with that same record is...
Would that be your wife?
Is that not you?
No, I lost the first week. I'm 1-1.
Oh, shoot. I'm sorry. I thought
It was a close one. It was enough to make everybody else annoyed that I auto-drafted.
I mean, I effectively auto-drafted. I was there. Effectively, I was there during the draft, but I didn't change my... I had my auto-draft strategy set up.
I should have done something because I ended up with 8 wide receivers, which is a full half of our draft slots.
It seems to be working for you, whatever you did. And also a bunch of running backs are out. That's fine. Anyways, story 57, The Golden Bird. I like this one.
I did too. It wasn't my favorite, but it definitely wasn't garbage.
No, I gave it a solid B.
Same here.
Yeah,
right
B
on the nose.
tier. I thought, if you don't mind, Mike, what I could do is just go through the plot and see if our audience also thinks maybe this is a B tier tale and would like to read it on their own.
I'm curious to see.
Okay, here we go. Once upon a time, there was a king who had a tree which bore golden apples. One day, he discovered that an apple has gone missing. Well, that won't do at all. So he gets his eldest son to stand guard, make sure no more apples get stolen during the night. Eldest son goes out to guard and falls asleep. Sure enough, the next morning, we're down an apple, so the king sends out his eldest and middle child to guard. Same thing, both fall asleep. Now we're down 2 apples. Finally, the youngest says, "Hey, Dad, can I try?" And the king has no faith in the youngest, but finally lets him. Well, lo and behold, the youngest stays awake, sees that a giant golden bird has been flying in, stealing an apple, flying away. The youngest takes a shot at it with a bow and arrow and grazes it, and a feather falls to the ground. Kid grabs the feather, brings the golden feather to his father, who says, "Well, now I need the bird, because this golden feather is amazing, and I think this will really save the kingdom. So, eldest son, off you pop."
Oh yeah, and it goes right back to the eldest son.
It goes straight to the eldest.
Never mind the one who saved the day.
Not the one that got a shot. So the eldest son goes out with a gun, mind you.
Right. Well, the youngest one's too young for a gun.
He's too young to own a gun in that area. What is this? What is this? Texas? Off to find this bird. Instead, he comes across a fox who says, "Listen, don't hurt me, and I'll give you some advice. I'll give you a nickel's worth of advice. The bird's over there. He's like 2 days that way, but like one right in the middle here. One day away. Then you're gonna come across this town with 2 inns, and one's gonna be all lit up and bright with music. The other one's kind of shabby and dark. So I advise thee to stay at the shabby one." And the eldest son laughs at the fox, goes to town, straight to the well-lit inn, and proceeds to drink and carouse for months. And the king says, "Well, probably find out what happened to that kid. So, second son."
It's a hell of a bender.
Yeah. Go find your older brother. So, exact same story. Kid meets the fox, go stay at the shabby inn, but the brother sees the second son sees his older brother in the brightly lit one, and he's like, "Hey, I found you." And the older brother's like, "Yeah, come in, let's drink." And so same thing. They carouse for months. Finally, the youngest son asks to try. And the king seems to say, "You know what? Fine. If he finds the bird or his brother's great. If he dies, no harm, no foul." So off he goes.
I've already lost the useful ones.
Yeah, I've lost the good ones. I've lost the ones that I like. Even though you're the only one that can actually do fuck all. Youngest son goes off, meets the fox. Only this time, the youngest son says, "Okay, you know what? That's a magic talking fox. I'll do what he says." He stayed at the shabby hotel. Next morning, skips out of town, meets the fox again, who says, Okay, look, the bird is up at that castle over there. So when you get there, here's the thing. Everyone at the castle is going to be asleep, but the bird is in a regular cage. Just keep it in the regular cage, okay? If you see a fancy one in the room, don't put the bird in a fancy cage. Just you take that regular cage with the bird in it, and you come, and then you can go home, and all will be well. The youngest says, okay, and then proceeds to get the bird and immediately tries putting it in the fancy cage, which wakes up the bird. The bird screeches, and then that wakes up the whole castle, and the kid gets caught. And then the story turns into this whole other thing. So, king of this other castle wants to put the kid to death, but says, "Look, if you go get the golden horse I've been wanting, I'll give you the bird." Okay, then kid leaves, finds the fox. Fox says, "Okay, I wish you had done what I said, but
Dumbass.
horse is that way. But when you get there, don't put the fancy saddle on the golden horse. The normal saddle is fine." And the kid again fucks around, and the kid again finds out. Tries to put on the fancy saddle. Horse wakes up and runs away. The guards wake up. They catch him. They says, "Son, you'll be put to death unless you go get that horse back." Well, turns out the horse belongs to the princess from the Golden Castle, which is another day up the road. You go up there and get it back. Off he goes.
And come back with the golden princess, right?
We'll come back with the horse. Off he goes. Fox gives him advice on stealing the daughter this time. Prince ignores that. Immediately gets caught. They say, "Okay, son, you'll be put to death unless you grade the land outside my window of the castle. There's a hill outside the window blocking my view. So you get rid of that hill and you can live. Plus, you can have my daughter's hand in marriage. You have 1 week." The kid doesn't do it, but the fox on the
it's
final,
really hard.
to be fair, it would be very hard to move almost anything, let alone a whole hill. But final day, the fox shows up and just does it for him. So now he has the princess, and they start wandering away. But the fox comes back and says, "Okay, go back, steal the horse. But this time, do it the way I tell you. Use the horse to go back also to this other castle and steal the bird, and then you can head on back home." He does. Uses the horse he steals the bird. So now he's got the bird, he's got the princess, he's got this magic horse. The fox says, "Okay, I've done a bunch of great things for you. So just what I need you to do is kill me. Take an axe and kill me." He says, "No, I don't know. You're great though. I love you. I don't want to do that." And the fox says, fine. Okay. Here's my final advice. On your way home, it's the last day. Don't pay to save anyone from the gallows. And in the next 2 days, don't sit next to any wells. Past the original inn. Where lo, his brothers are set to be hung. The kid, despite the fox having warned him not to do just that, sets his brother free by paying the gallowsmen. He pays them, and they promptly push him into a well and steal all of his stuff and hightail it back home.
All the nice gold things.
Yeah. The youth, for his part, didn't die. And the fox, he's just at the bottom of the well, and the fox goes over to the top of the well. And he's like, "Hey, you didn't do what I said again." And the youth says, "I know." And he's like,
I forgot.
Fox helps him out of the well. So they sneak back to the first castle in disguise. The horse and the bird, they see the kid, and they're happy for whatever reason. The princess is like, "Hey, wait, that's my fiance. Your two oldest sons tried to betray him, and they pushed him into a well, and then they threatened me with death if I told anyone, but he's here now. So that's him." And the king says, "Oh, well, hell. Well, good work, youngest son. And oldest sons, you guys are going to get put to death." It kills them. Makes the son the heir to the kingdom. The youngest son finally goes out, meets the fox again, and the fox says, "Hey, can you kill me now?" And the kid says, "Yeah, you know what? All right, fine, I'm sorry." Kills the fox, which breaks the spell, and the dead fox turns into a dude who just happens to be the princess's brother. And then everyone lives happily ever after, the end.
It's very tidy.
And yeah, that took me a long time to say the plot of that story. However, this is like 4 pages or something like that.
Yeah.
Kind of 2 tales in one. There's something I really liked, which I can get into, unless you have some notes you'd like to get into first.
Oh, not in particular, no.
Okay. So what I really liked is they actually had a logical reason for why the fox just keeps helping this idiot child listen to his advice, or anyone really. And I don't know how the spell worked, but I know the fox needed someone to kill him. And importantly, I think he needed his sister to be able to identify him as royalty after he turns into a dude. And for whatever reason, maybe couldn't do it back at the Golden Castle, or they didn't want to kill a fox over there, whatever the reason is. But the youth is slightly more intelligent than his brothers, but only just. He skipped that one first town. Maybe he didn't. He was like, I don't really want to carouse. Kind of an introvert, but that doesn't mean he's not stupid.
It's interesting that the fox just gave up on the first two brothers, but never gave up on the third brother.
I think they were trapped in that inn. It was the Hotel California is what that was.
Hmm.
You can check in anytime you like, but you can't ever leave.
Little taste of Rumspringa.
Yeah. 6 months total.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good time.
That's why I flunked out of college that first time.
The inn.
6 months of carousing with you, but
Yeah.
you did well in college.
Well, I failed my I failed my second and fourth semesters, but it being UMass, they were like, yeah, no, you can pay us to come back, sure.
I failed my first, and then I got out on my second. I guess technically that I failed, but I didn't actually go to any classes or anything. So
I think I was done failing semesters by the time I met you then. Because it was my second one, which was spring of 96.
when did you graduate?
It was spring of 96, spring of 97. Yeah, so I failed my two before you came into the picture.
Yeah,
I got it all out of my system.
Yeah.
Not really.
And then corrupted the youth around you. Do you have a moral for this?
I think the obvious one is listen to wise advice, even if it's coming from a fox. I mean, foxes are supposed to be clever.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
I thought there was a couple, but the one I liked the most was from the idea of the moral from the fox's point of view. And for that, it's a lesson on how to be a manager. These new people are going to come in out of an apprentice program, and they're going to start helping. They're going to want to help, but you're going to look at their work, and it's going to be fucking awful. And they're going to try and do it like this work that you've set out this whole thing for them. And they're like, I've got a new idea.
What you don't understand is I'm smarter than you.
I've just graduated from the University of Phoenix. So I've got an exciting new way to do work. And then all of these are going to cause you way more work to start. But from the manager's perspective, keep at it, because eventually one good one will actually start listening. And you'll get what you want, which is a bunch of good employees. When I was thinking this, I was thinking more construction, but I'm assuming computer coding is very similar.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So find the few diamonds in the rough that you have and kind of work at it. And out of every three, you might be able to get a good employee. I don't think that's exactly what they were going for, but that's what I got out of this.
Yeah, I don't know about other fields, but in programming, you have different tiers of work that needs to be done, so you can have a steady supply of busy work for somebody who's new.
You want the one good employee, and maybe that's this one good son who's just slightly smarter than the other two morons.
It's funny because he's generally considered in the family to be the dumbest one. And the father doesn't trust him with anything until the two older sons are lost to the winds of time. And he's like, okay, well, I guess I'll give the dumb one a try.
Yeah, and without even, I don't even care if he comes back. Like, at this point, this is your only heir. You know where the other two are, and so you're like, I guess I'll find a new wife or something. I don't know.
Do you think he got any smarter after this, or did he just keep going? Maybe he had the Golden Prince come live with them so he could be his advisor.
Oh, actually, that would work out fine. Yeah, if I'm the fox that turned back into the brother, I usurp that kingdom the moment I can, because the heir is the youngest son heir is a moron.
Yeah,
I think it would not be hard to be the power behind the throne.
I'm spinning a story in my head where he's given the position of advisor to the heir because he's clearly the smartest person in the story, but then he develops a secret love for his brother-in-law. So it's like this awkward, like, I'm in love with you, but I can never be with you.
Or
and the dumb one just never figures it out because he's an idiot.
Golden apples. That seems to appear a lot in Grimm.
Yeah, quite a bit.
Girl Without Hands had some, and some others. Did a bit of research here into Norse religions. And there was a goddess, Idun, Idun, and golden apples were said to restore youth to anyone that ate them. They don't explicitly grant immortality. You have to keep eating the golden apples to keep being young. But without them, even the gods would begin to age and they would eventually die. And I know that, Germany, they sort of brought a lot of that Norse religion stuff into their stories.
I can say they're an important item in Minecraft.
Are they?
Yep.
What do they
It's
do?
like it's like a super healing potion kind of deal. Like
Oh, okay.
you heal yourself by eating food. Those are like except for enchanted golden apples, those are like the top tier. They heal you up and then they give you like a boost to something. I don't know. I had a second kid, so I had to stop playing, but it was good for a time.
Do you have any other notes?
Couple lines drawn to some other stories. Like last week we had Sweetheart Roland with amnesia from distraction, as it were, and I think that's sort of same plot line with the two older brothers. They just kind of get distracted into forgetting everything.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I see what you're saying.
There's also shades of knapsack, hat, and horn that we had recently with the sort of the trade for something, trade something for something else,
right.
and then go back and steal it. One question I had was
Okay.
it all comes back to the youngest son finds sees the golden bird, shoots it, misses, but knocks a feather out. And the king decides he has to have this bird because these feathers are so amazing. He has a fucking golden apple tree that grows golden apples. Why does he need a bird that has golden feathers?
I mean, golden apples are, well, I mean, I guess you could sell the golden apples, but so you have the golden apples that gives you eternal life, but you have to keep on eating the apples or you'll age to death. You'll eventually die. So you can't have your cake or eat it too. Maybe that's a moral in there, right? Um, so you can either live forever or you can sell the apples and be rich, but then you'll die. Unless you get the bird, then you can eat your golden apples and you can sell the feathers of the golden bird or whatever and get money. So then you're rich and you get to live forever.
I was picturing, I think it was a Hans Christian Andersen, the golden goose, where
Okay.
somebody's got a golden goose and it lays golden eggs and they can sell those eggs, but then I think it's the greedy wife wants more and more. So she starts trying to get the goose to lay more and more, and she gets impatient, so she eventually just cuts the goose open to take all the eggs out, which she does, but then the goose doesn't lay any more eggs because it's dead. Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that.
That's fun. ATU type 550, bird, horse, and princess.
Oh, it's oddly
folk,
specific.
A folk tale type that involves a supernatural helper, such as an animal. Which, by the way, brings us to my big Hollywood pitch.
Ooh.
If you'd like to hear.
I would love to.
Okay. So after I read this, I also read a bunch of the variants. And I found an Uzbek tale that I liked a lot, in which the father, the king, decides to take the kingdom's treasure and he forges a giant golden tree encrusted with all the jewels of the kingdom. Effectively, the entire economy is put into this one infrastructure project. And the animal helper, the magical guide or whatever you want, was a crow in that one. So I was reading that one and I'm like, okay, I really like the idea of all the economy into one infrastructure project, quick way to ruin the economy if you want, and then a crow. And of course, the helper crow. One of my greatest dreams is to become friends with a wild crow, not to tame it or nothing.
Just to have it bring you treasure.
Yeah, feed it a bit, and then apparently, if they like you back, they bring you things. So
yeah.
So that was where I kind of started off. In my version, we start the same way. King puts all the money into the Golden Tree Project, ruining the economy. In fact, had paid a wizard to craft this thing. Though the king at least had the plan that tourists would come. And they did for a while, and the kingdom prospered. But then the entire tree gets stolen by that same wizard who lives in a golden castle next kingdom over. However, before that happened, there's this other thing going on. This crow has been stealing little trinkets from the tree, bringing them to its friend in town, a youth who had befriended the crow and had started feeding it nuts or whatever. Back to the present. Tree gets stolen, kingdom's screwed. That was all their economy. There's no more tourism. So the king, who's childless, says, you know what? If anyone can go find the tree, they can be the heir to the throne. If not, that's the end of the kingdom. Lo, however, the crow has kept bringing these little rubies back to the kid. And they realize that the crow knows where this tree is. So the youth starts following the bird. They go on some adventures, little hero's journey, help someone get their horse back, help someone find a fox, or move a hill with the help of some friendly moles or whatever. The further they're going towards this other kingdom, the more animals start to speak. And as they're getting closer, the crow starts talking as well, due to the inherent magic all around this particular area, especially the closer and closer you get to the castle. And you can have some fun with that. And then the crow starts remembering things. past life maybe, or these visions that it's have. But the closer they both get to the castle, the more the crow is remembering. Finally, they get to the castle and break in. The crow then really gets most of its memories back and remembers its life. And this is not the first time it's been at the castle, and it's starting to remember the other times. When it was getting close to the tree in town, it would kind of remember. But now that it's also in the magical kingdom along with the tree, like it's really remembering everything. And he really knows the way to turn back into human, wants this youth to help it, but he needs the youth. So he's been trying to go get the rubies, bring them back, give them to the kid so the kid will go to the tree and eventually try and help him. So now finally it happened. So the two break in, they steal a wand or some MacGuffin source of the wizard's power, probably, kill the wizard, whatever. But the crow remembers what will break the spell. It's a mirror and says, no, you got to go get the mirror. You got to go get the mirror. The boy does. And in addition to the wand, they transport the whole tree back home with the spell. He's got the wand, he's got the tree, he's got the mirror, and the youth is going to become heir. But now that they're away from the castle, the crow starts losing its memories. And it says, you have to kill me with the mirror. You have to hit me as hard as you can with the mirror. And the youth doesn't want to. Crow begs and begs him with its last bit of magic, says, look, that's the one thing that can save my life. So the youth is upset, but finally agrees, strikes the crow with the mirror, which shatters the mirror into a million points of light, which then turn the crow back into human. And if you want to grim it up, they fall in love and they rule the kingdom together. The end.
Nice.
Oh, thank you.
I like that.
Yeah, and I don't care what the genders are of the youth or the crow either.
Right.
If you want it like boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, boy, or some delightful NB, it doesn't matter. Just two very close friends that eventually rule the kingdom together and are in love. However you want to do that, but
I like that. That's a good story.
It's a starting off point for a story, but I like some of the core concepts.
I like how, sort of all the animals start talking the closer they get, and then the crow starting to remember. I think that could be really, have some really vivid visuals there.
Yeah, I think I've got a germ of an idea, a seed.
That's all you need sometimes.
That's all I have. Do you have anything else?
Nope.
Well, wonderful then. Well, if there's nothing left to say about the story, I think we can call it. But before we do that, Mike, is there a way for anyone to contact us if they have any thoughts they wish to share, perhaps wish to have those thoughts shared on a future episode, or if they want actually guest star on one of these stories?
Ooh, that would be wonderful to have guest stars. Yeah, we can be reached at brothersdimpodcast@gmail.com, and we're also on Blue Sky at brothersdim.
Well, thank you, Mike, and thanks to all of our fans for listening. This has been story number 57, The Golden Bird. Sleep tight, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.